All right, hold on 1 second. We're having technical difficulties once again. I can't see my screen because the stream blocking my screen. Um, and oh, now my control board is up. This is crazy, right? So everybody, please forgive me and have and just take a little time. Just we know how they do us at all times. So we'd like to thank you for joining us for impromptu live stream. This is the Vampire Stream. And the reason it is called the Vampire Stream is because we're doing it at nighttime in the evening. But I want to get to a few things quickly. Let me get my computer booted up real quick so I can address a few things. Okay, there's a few things that I must address. Um, so here we are right here. Biden is willing. Listen to this, man. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. This is from RT. This is an article, and this is a quote from supposedly a quote from Janet Yellen, the former Fed chair and now the Secretary of the Treasury. You know how they play musical chairs, right? They love to play musical chairs with people in power to make it seem like there's some type of change when there's really no type of change. Excuse me, I have to sneeze. Excuse me. Hold on. Okay. So in this article here, let's go here. It's titled, Biden is willing to damage U.S. economy to counter China. This is absolutely crazy, right? This is crazy. And while I'm doing the show, you guys, hold on 1 second. I'm getting a private message in the chat, okay? So hold on 1 second. Do me a favor. This is on the spot live thing because I saw some news that I wanted to address. Hold on 1 second. Let me get to it. It seems like they don't want me to access my dashboards anywhere. And I see another chat, a comment in the chat. So hold on. I'll get to your chat in a second. I'm trying to answer a private chat real quick. So those in the chat, give me 1 second, okay? Let's see. Go to comments. Here we are right here. Hopefully. It seems like I'm having problems now with StreamYard. I don't think this is YouTube doing this. I actually think this is StreamYard doing this at this moment because it's the software from StreamYard. But we're still going to keep it going. And I'm trying to go into the dashboard to change some settings. They changed some more settings on this thing. Every time I try to come to you guys with truth, they want to come and they want to do something. Here we are. Let's go down. Let's see if we can get this real quick. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to change it. So I'm trying to make sure that they don't erase anyone's comments. Let's see if that'll work. All right, it should be saved. All right, now let's go to studio, and we're back. So we're going to read this article here. And remember when I was telling you all about how the American elite, and we as I was saying before, we have to be honest. The American elite, those in power behind the power, and this is be blunt. These are pretty much Caucasians that are in power. Even when Obama was the president, he had handlers, right, around him. This is real. So we have to address these little nuances. I'm telling you, we have to address the nuances in order for us to understand the entire picture. And so if you miss a few nuances, you never understand the entire picture. And it's these old Caucasians who are willing to sacrifice the youth, not just black, not just brown, not just red, not just yellow, but Caucasians themselves. They want to sacrifice white people just as much as they want to sacrifice black, brown, and red and yellow to keep power. These people have been in the elite class, and they're scared as hell. These people have been in power. DuPont, the Rockefellers, all of these people who have made their fortunes off the back of other people. They're willing to kill, destroy, maim, rob, wage war on, demonize, and exploit any and everybody, regardless to whom it may be. The system is turning in on itself now. And I was telling you all how this, the leaders, the elite, are now ready to cut off America's nose, tongue, lips, eyes, and ears in spite of its face. This stands true as we speak right now. We're going to go into this article. And I didn't read the article, right? I did when I saw the headline. I said, I have to talk about this because I wanted to talk to you all anyhow about a few other things that I downloaded for you all so that you can see just how insane the situation is. Okay. But let me go to this right here. Now, listen to the title. I want you all to listen to the title. Okay. Biden is willing to damage the U.S. economy to counter China. This is from Janet Yellen. Just the title alone shows you the madness of these people and shows you the panic in these elite. It shows you this. There's no doubt about this. I'm willing to sacrifice 200,000 men just to slow down China's rise. I'm willing to sacrifice 2 aircraft battle groups just to slow down China. I'm willing to stoke tensions with China and its neighbors to try to offset China's rise. I'm willing to sanction my number one exporter to me, my number one infrastructure investor, my number one financial investor and lender, and the world's number one manufacturer. I'm willing to do that. This is real. This is their mind. This is what they say. This is how they get down. Excuse me. Okay, here we are. The microphone got stuck again. See, I told you, it's them doing this to me. But anyway, the article reads like this. The Treasury Secretary has conceded that protecting America's national security may come at an economic cost. Now, what are they talking about? Protecting America's national security. China is not waging war against America. China has not sanctioned America, only retaliatory sanctions, right? China is not the one waging a global war to prevent America's rise. It's the other way around. So if anybody's national security is at risk, it is the non-Western, non-white, non-inclusive Western club, non-member China. Is that not right? Listen, let's go further into this. The Treasury Secretary has conceded that protecting America's national security may come at an economic price. President Joe Biden will stop at nothing to protect America against security threats posed by China, even if the action he must take damage his own nation's economy, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has claimed. Now, I want you to understand what this is. Do you remember the? I believe it was day before yesterday. It could have been yesterday. But do you remember the show when we played Richard Nixon and how Richard Nixon was trying to present poop or body waste as ice cream, right? And how he was trying to play on your intelligence, and how he was trying to make you believe that what he was doing was in your best interest, when in the interest of the dollar, and in the interest of workers of America, and in the interest of the American economy, right? But in reality, excuse me, my sinuses are messing up. The window is open too. It's cold in here. I had to let the window up, but at the same time, I had to pay the price of my sinuses. Excuse me. But remember, Nixon put sprinkles on poop and put it on a cone and said, this is the new flavored Bluebell. or Breyers or whatever ice cream you eat, right? He said he was taking the world or America off the gold and silver standard to solidify and stabilize the dollar. In bizarro world, that's right. But in reality, to take your currency off the oldest form of commodities that is used in to trade and exchange with and to back up currencies and the wealth of nations, that can't be true. But the way he presented it to the world and to the U.S., he wanted you to believe that that was true because he didn't respect your intelligence. And he didn't respect you as a person, because people who are in power and people who have been in power for a long time, they show a lot of contempt in their speech and in their actions to people who they believe are deemed to be beneath them. And they believe that if they can propagandize you long enough, then you will start believing that the sky is no longer blue, it's polka dots with green in it. But people believe this because they inundate you with this madness. I want you to listen to this statement again. Okay? By Janet Yellen. And I want you to see the lunacy and the madness in this statement. All right? Check it. President Joe Biden will stop at nothing to protect America against security threats posed by China, even if the actions he must take damage his own nation's economy, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has claimed. Now, what is she doing? She's trying to prepare you, and watch others say things like this too. She's trying to prepare you for this eventual showdown that you've heard so many people talk about since last year. This eventual economic and military showdown. The threat that she's talking about is China superseding America economically, China superseding America politically, China superseding America technological, and China superseding America militarily. This is the threat that she sees coming. See, as long as America was in the driver's seat and she had no rivals, or her rivals were beneath her military, technological, and economic power, they may have had two components of the three of the triad, but they didn't have all three components of the triad for global dominance. America was cool with that because she could manipulate the one that you didn't have to kind of hurt you. But now on a playing field where someone has the same levels of power, and in some areas greater than yours, it becomes a national security threat. That's what this becomes, a national security threat. It threatens America's national security because the dollar is being challenged. Why? Because without the dollar as the world's reserve currency, America cannot export inflation. She cannot manipulate other people's politics and economics. And she cannot spend infinitum on the military war state. This military industrial complex continues to gobble up more and more resources. And notice America always has to have a threat. I bet before I go further in this article, let me refresh your mind on something. Do you remember 5 years ago and 10 years ago, before China was perceived as America's greatest and pressing threat, America was making mock at China about how all she does is copy other people's technology. And all she does is make knockdown versions of things. She's not independent. She can't build these things on her own. Right? They mocked China. China was not that pressing threat that they see here. And remember, I want to refresh your mind on these facts here, okay? I have a long memory on this. Remember when everybody was so boastful and so prideful in the U.S. talking about that they are at least a decade ahead in military power over any of their nearest rivals. Remember they were saying that? Remember when they talked about Russia, they were like, we're 2 decades ahead. And when they talked about China, we're at least 30. You can Google some of this stuff. We're at least 30 years ahead of them. Now, check this out. This is how they fleece the people. They present this aura of confidence, right? And right when they want to fleece the people, it becomes an emerging threat. The same people who spoke about being ahead technologically, militarily, and economic now sees a pressing and imminent threat from the people that they made mark of 5 years ago. And now 300 billion, 500 billion, 700 billion, 880 billion, 900 billion is not enough, even though that is more than the next 10 nations who spend their money on war combined. Do you understand? This is a perpetual state of war by the war state and the MIC, or the military industrial complex, and those people who are behind the scenes pulling the strings. They must have an enemy because they must have war, because they build weapons. They must rid their inventory of certain weapons so that the military industrial complex can produce more, so that it can feed it, and the government can appropriate more money for spending on this. They can always find money to spend on appropriations for new weapon systems and the acquisition of weapon systems. Is that not right? And the so-called research and development of weapon systems. Always, but the senior citizens. They get a pay raise, but it doesn't keep up with inflation. They paid into the system through their paychecks and the FDIC, how they take money out of your check, but then they don't even get a livable return. The schools are being underfunded and closed down, and the education has become something of a mockery, right? Head Start is closing down different places. You see all of these mass shootings in the suburbs and in the inner city. That's not a pressing threat. That's not on the agenda for America's national security. But nations that lie thousands of miles from a border, who are minding their own business and only trying to do trade with you, and they're shellacking you, they're knocking your head loose in fair trade. Because you're losing, it becomes a pressing threat. Man, you are crazy as hell. Listen, let's go a little further. And let me see. Let me go here real quick. Okay, I see nightly fireflies. Thank you. Bless you, baby. Bless you too. Let me write that back. Now let's go here. After saying that, this is what followed, okay? National security is of paramount importance in our relationship with China, right? National security. This is the Trump card that the MIC uses whenever they want to fleece the people and whenever they want to promote war or confrontation. Because remember, war and confrontation produces weapons. The manufacturers produce more weapons to feed the MIC. Without confrontation, the MIC loses out big. Without imminent threats, the MIC loses out big. America has to have a threat. She has to push for war. This is what she does. I don't think most of you understand that. As a matter of fact, I want you to hear what one person had to say about how America feels about, and we're going to come back to this article, but I want you to see how America feels about the Iranian-Saudi deal and it being brokered by China, okay, and things happening outside of her grasp. Because remember, no matter what, America has to say something. She has to be involved, even though nations are supposed to be sovereign and supposed to be able to handle their own foreign and domestic affairs. America always has a word to say, or a nose to get in, or to instigate something. I want you to listen to what they're saying about this real quick.
Let's start off with Mr. Schlanger in Potsdam. Give us your initial perspective of this recent announcement of a prisoner swap between Yemen and Saudi Arabia.
Well, I see this as part of a very rapid transformation of the situation in West Asia, which should be welcomed by all people. Unfortunately, as peace is breaking out, Washington is not very happy about it. But what we're seeing now is the move away from the so-called rules-based order, the unipolar order, where the U.S. and the United Kingdom and NATO can dictate policies to all countries. This has profound implications, both in terms of the strategic situation and also the economic situation. And very important is the fact that China is playing a significant role in this, precisely at the moment where the U.S. is gearing up its forces to contain China. So this is something that should be welcomed by all people who are for peace and development. Hopefully it will continue. It's taking place at the same time that Syria is being brought back into the Arab League. There are talks with the Russians and the Chinese involved. So I think on the whole, this is a great moment, and hopefully in the West, we can keep our governments from meddling and getting involved. And importantly, we have to lift the sanctions which are responsible for many of the deaths in Yemen.
So you hear this analyst says that America is not happy that peace is breaking out outside of her control because China and Russia are trying to broker deals that will sustain them and help be a win-win situation between the parties that are warring, and China and Russia also benefiting from it. This is unacceptable to America because she needs chaos. She needs war. She needs a threat. She's nosy as hell. She's like that nosy neighbor that you have next door or down, always in everybody else's business, but wants everybody to stay out of her business. That's America. That is America. And it's driving people away from her. And because it seems like they are hell-bent on imposing their will, their system, their way of governance on everybody else, it's alienating the very people who they try to appeal to. And even now their allies are starting to have a real appraisal of what is going on when it comes to the empire. Now, let's go further. Let's read this article a little bit more, okay? And remember, you are now watching The Vampire Stream. Yeah. So, it says, national security is of paramount importance in our relationship with China, Yellen said on Wednesday in a speech in Washington. She gave the example of blocking China from obtaining certain technologies, adding, "We will not compromise on these concerns, even when they force trade-offs with our economic interests." Stop right there. Now, I want you to understand something. America does have certain technologies that the Chinese haven't mastered yet. But that's a two-way street. America doesn't possess a new hypersonic weapon. That is not an easy feat to have. If it was an easy technology to master, then all nations would have it right now. But America, she has failed so much in her pursuit of hypersonic weapons. She has closed down one program in her hypersonic missile quest. So it seems like China has some technologies that would be beneficial to America and America's national security, right? But this gets left out. What about the supercomputer? Because the supercomputers, when they do their computing, we have proof that China has the most powerful and the fastest supercomputers in the world now. That is not an easy feat. That was once a monopoly of Japan and America. But China now rules that domain, and that takes specific and specialized technologies to accomplish that feat. This technology could be beneficial to America. What about the AI? China is the world leader in AI development. They've just tested certain programs with AI, and they passed with flying colors. Wouldn't that be beneficial to America's national security and her technological growth? What technology are you trying to keep from China? Because what China is doing is manufacturing chips, manufacturing computer boards, manufacturing 93% on your shelf. So what it seems to me is that you are trying to pick certain things that China has not yet fully mastered and then try to beat them over the head with it, even though they're offering you a win-win situation. And this is not just the American government, I might add. This is being pushed behind the scene by all of those alphabet platforms like Instagram and Facebook and Google. They're using their technological dominance, and they're fearful of this. They're eating up the black community. They're eating up the brown community. They're eating up the red community. They're eating up the yellow community. And now they turn and start eating up the white community. These are old pricks who are doing everything they can to preserve their power, their wealth, and their influence, and their domination over the entire planet. You understand? But what they see a non-white nation, a non-Western nation. I have to tell this like it is, okay? And sometimes the truth is not pleasant, but it must be told regardless. Because China is a non-white, non-Western, non-Christian nation on the ascendancy, while the Western world is descending. This makes a lot of complications between bridging the gap. Because the West looked at everybody else as though they had superiority over everybody else. China can't produce that. They must have stolen it. Why? Because it's a non-Western, non-white nation. Oh, China can't do that. Look at how Joseph Borrell of the European Union talked. We're not, and I'm paraphrasing, we're not threatened by China's rise. We welcome it. But, listen to this. Now, the but nullified everything before that. But, China must adhere to certain standards that we hold dear. As if China is a child and they are the adults. Do you see the arrogance in the speech? They are talking to a global superpower as if this global superpower is still on its knees, like in the 1950s and 40s. And this global superpower is their number one investor, number one trade partner, and holds a huge amount of their treasuries. And they receive roughly between 60 to 80% of all their goods from that superpower. And talking down to them as though they're beneath them. But this is what I'm telling you, this Western exceptionalism, it is a mind state. And a lot of people don't realize when they say certain things that it just comes out of their mouth because of Western exceptionalism. Has been ingrained in the head and the hearts of people, and they don't realize it. They don't realize it. But let's go further. It says, Yellen accused China of unfair economic practices. Stop right there. What is more unfair than America exporting inflation around the world so other people have to pay for her lifestyle? What is more unfair than that? What is more unfair is America getting goods and services that she knows that her dollar will never be able to pay for? What is unfair? That's theft. That's knowledgeable theft. What is more unfair than using the interest rates through your Federal Reserve to manipulate prices and to overthrow governments, destabilize governments, assassinate leaders, and cause chaos in other nations? What's more unfair? Huh? So even if China was practicing unfair trade practices, they're just a minute bite of the big cheese wheel that America has been feeding the whole world. This is real. This is true. So as you listen to me and you hear me and you see me become animated, it's because I'm passionate about getting this stuff out to you all. I'm passionate about this. And I want you to understand that these people will stop at nothing to inundate you with that mind of exceptionalism, while at the same time taking every penny out of your pocket and exploiting you and then turning you against the next group. They're the cause of it. So they can keep you at loggerheads while they're living their lifestyle and pulling the strings and implementing the policies and directives that they want. They've done it here in America and they've done it all around the world. And Britain had become the master of this. And when I say Britain, I'm talking about America too, because these two are one and the same. So let's go further. Practices and of taking a more confrontational posture. Now, the confrontational posture is this. Listen, if you insult us, we're going to insult you back. If you sanction us, we're going to sanction you back. If you provoke us, we're going to raise the ante and provoke you too. If you slap us, we're going to do, because we don't want to go to war at this moment because we're preparing for this, what we'll do, we'll hit you asymmetrically, where it's going to hurt you even more, but without militarily slapping you at the moment, unless absolutely necessary. This is the confrontational posture. Now, listen to me. I want you to understand something. Let's look at this. And let's bring Russia into the fold of this. America flies her spy planes. Britain flies her spy planes. NATO flies their spy planes just miles away from St. Petersburg. Roughly, the aerial zone is 12 miles. They skirt that. As a matter of fact, last month, a month before last, the U.S. did war gaming right close to St. Petersburg, you doing a mock nuclear strike on St. Petersburg. That's not a provocation by the West. But if Russia sends her warplanes up there to monitor and to escort these planes from next to her border, and Russia keeps telling them and they won't answer their communications, and Russia has to do a fly around, America puts that before the world and said we were in international space and the Russians are being very provocative. That's provocative, right? But you are 10,000 miles away and you flying your warships there, your warplanes there, stationing your warships off our coast is not provocative. Oh, that's just normal. Oh, that's international water. It's as though Russia didn't fly her planes in international airspace too. But this is the mind of the exceptional nation and the exceptional West. So America sails her after China does these war games around the island of Chinese Taipei or the province of Taiwan, right? The next day, America sails some warships through the Taiwan Strait. The Western media saw nothing provocative about that. What if China were to sail some warships into the Gulf of Mexico? Would that be provocative? Well, if that would be provocative, then why is selling warships, a whole battle group through the Taiwan Strait? Why is that not provocative? Because it is a non-Western, non-white nation that is over in the East, and it is the exceptional West that sailed through the waters. This is what goes on. They've got to listen. This mentality is pushing the world forward because now nations no longer are allowing you to talk down to them and handle them any kind of way. And as long as you keep that mind state of exceptionalism and that I'm going to do what I want to do, regardless of my standing in the world anymore, how can this not lead to war? And remember, we're at the Vampire Stream. So welcome to the Vampire Stream, our first episode of the Vampire Stream. Now, I see people in the chat. Let me go to the chat. Let me look over for a second. Oh, CCE. Yeah. let's see. CC is in the chat too. All right, let's see. More in this article. There's Yellen accused China of unfair economic practices and of taking a more confrontational posture towards the U.S. and its allies in recent years. Confrontational posture. China is saying that if you sock me in the mouth, I'm going to sock you back. I'm not going to allow you to just talk to me in a kind of way. Because remember, prior to about 3 or 4 years ago, when America made statements, the Chinese diplomats would be very, very quiet and nonchalant and diplomatic about it. And Wang Yi, the former Chinese foreign minister who now heads the entire foreign ministry department, when he met with the U.S. Secretary of State a few years ago back in Alaska, and they tried to front on Wang Yi, Wang Yi blew their feet off their body with the way he was speaking. And he told America, don't get this twisted. You're not the power you used to be. And we're not in the position that we used to be. And you're not going to handle us any kind of way. We are a major power to be reckoned with. And if you provoke us, we'll provoke you back. If you hit us, we'll hit you back. That's what Wang Yi was telling them. And that was provocative. Why? Because China needs to know its place. It's not a Western nation. And it needs to know its place. You are beneath us. This is their mind state. You don't have to believe it out of the mouth. Look at the actions. See, your actions will tell something that your mouth won't. You know how a person always says, oh, I love you, baby. Oh, I love you, baby. And every time you turn around, they're creeping out with somebody else. And they're telling the next person, oh, I love you, baby. No, I love you, baby. Oh, no, I love you, baby. Right? The actions are telling us your true reality. Even though your mouth is spitting something that you claim to be the truth, your actions are telling us something contrary to what your mouth is stating. The same thing with the West. Their actions tell us all we need to know. Okay, let's go further. It says, Yellen accused China of unfair economic practices and of taking a more confrontational posture towards the U.S. and its allies in recent years. Washington has a broad set of tools to deal with security threats from China, she added, such as export controls and sanctions against entities that provide support to the People's Liberation Army. Now, she act like that is an exclusive right for America, like China doesn't have the same things and she can employ more. Remember, more nations trade with China now. Remember, China is the largest buyer of oil now. Remember, China is the largest buyer of gas now. So China words ring more with more substance to these people who are trying to sell oil and gas to get currency so that they can support projects in their own country. China trades with more countries than the United States now. That means that China has more say in what they say goes more to heart to the people that they trade with. China is the largest investor in the world. That means that they are helping nations get up off their knees by the bootstrap, right? So that means that they have more relevance to these nations. So if you try to sanction these nations, now guess what happens? China will slap back sanctions on you. Just the other day, the United States sanctioned a few Chinese corporations. Guess what happened? The Chinese did the same thing. This is an exclusive level of power for the West. No, it's not. But America presents this before the world to try to make you believe that this is her exclusive right and prerogative to do that to other people. Man, if you don't get out of here with that. But let's go further. And I thank each and every one of you for joining the Vampire Stream. It says the Treasury Department has sanctions authorities to address threats related to cybersecurity and China's military civilian fusion, Yellen said. We also carefully review foreign investment in the United States for national security risks and take necessary actions to address any such risks. And we are considering a program to restrict, listen to this, and we are considering a program to restrict certain U.S. outbound investments in specific sensitive technologies with significant national security implications. That could be anything. That could be anything. That could be a TV. Because smart TVs now have a camera on them. So they're willing to cover their nose, poke their eyes out, cut their ears off, the lips off, and cut the tongue off in spite of their face. If you don't see the lunacy in the policies that they're espousing, then you're a lunatic yourself. One thing she said here that caught my eye right here. She says, we also carefully review foreign investment in the United States for national security risks and take necessary action. What she was doing was slyly threatening China that they would stop Chinese investment in the United States. Okay, now let's use common sense. Forget I'm the host of the show for a minute, and forget you are a part. You're not just a viewer; you're a part of the show. Okay, so I won't say viewers, our family. I would say our family, our blog family, or vlog family. Just for one instance, say for instance, I need you to support my channel, which if you can, you can. But I'm just using this as a analogy. And I get mad at you and say, I'm thinking about stopping you from donating to me. Who the hell is that going to hurt? It's not going to hurt your pockets. Especially if I have a bill to pay. Especially if I need this to keep the mortgage from being lapping or whatever like that. Especially if I need it for car payments. Who the hell is that going to hurt? You or me? Do you understand? Again, the lunacy of the lunatics. But now, I want to go to something. Because it's something. Where is it at? I think I pulled it up already. I want to go to something. Because while we're on this lunacy, I want to read something to you from CNN. Okay, so you guys bear with me. Okay, don't go away or nothing like this. Again, I thank you all for joining us on the first edition of the Vampire Stream. We'll be doing these more often at night. We're going to be doing the regular shows in the daytime, but sometimes we're going to just come in the evening or late at night, just off the cuff, and just do the Vampire Stream. And look at my son did the graphics, so my son kicks butt because I don't know what to do with this stuff. I just tell him, hey, listen, I give him an idea and he'll come back and say, Pops, how about this? I'm like, yeah, that's cool, man. But check this out. So CNN has an article, and this has been spoken about in alternative media, okay? About Russia, Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. I know some of you know about that. Remember, Russia had taken control of the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, right? And what was crazy is the Western media was reporting this. Now, Russia has control of the nuclear power plant and the surrounding, right? And there was a lot of gunfire and missile strikes and all of this stuff. And the Western press said Russia was firing on the nuclear power plant. Now, listen to me good. Russia controls the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant and the surrounding areas, and the West said it was Russia endangering lives by firing on the nuclear power plant that their soldiers are in and that their soldiers control. I'm not making this up. If you think I'm lying, Google this. All major Western press was reporting that. And people were taking it hook, line, and sinker. But CNN, I was looking at an article from CNN just a day or two ago. And I emailed it to myself because I wanted to speak on this with you all. And this is the reason for the Vampire Stream right here, this article. Okay? And the line of it is, U.S. warns Russia not to touch American nuclear technology at the Ukrainian nuclear plant. Stop right there. Before we go any further, that's a lot to unpack. If you say you had no motives in Ukraine's chemical or biological labs, and you claim that you were not involved in, because remember, Victoria Nuland first said that they had no involvement in the nuclear or the biological or the chemical aspect of Ukraine. They were only there, in a different capacity. But now, after Russia seizes some of the biolabs, we find out that America was doing genetic specific bioweapons so that she can wage war on different ethnicities. She can infect them with different drugs, different viruses and stuff. And now we find out that the reason that America was so hell-bent on Zelensky and Ukraine seizing the Zaporozhye power plant, nuclear power plant, and how they kept bombing and kept trying to broker a deal for quote-unquote Western peacekeepers to gain access to the Zaporozhye power plant, is because American technology was up in there. What was America doing in the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant? That's a Russian-built nuclear facility. America's technology is not on the same level with the Russians when it comes to stuff like that. What was she doing over there? Was she trying to help Ukraine to expedite its nuclear weapons capability before Russia intervened? Remember, Russia said when they got ready to intervene, they said they have pressing news for a pressing threat against the statehood of the Russian Federation. Russia seized biolabs, and Russia seized the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. Right? Why isn't the news talking about that? It's a blackout on the news. All you see is this article, but we're going to go into this article for a minute because it's a lot to unpack, okay? All right, let's look at this. And it's going to boggle your mind because as I read the article, I actually started to just swipe the article away. But something said, hey, it's something in that article you need to read. Because I usually don't like to read CNN and all of that stuff like that. But I said, okay, I'll do that. All right. So let's go into it. Let's unpack this article, please. And be patient with me because there's a lot up in here that we need to talk about. This is from CNN. The U.S. has sensitive nuclear technology at a nuclear power plant inside Ukraine and is warning Russia not to touch it. What the hell are you going to do if they touch it? Huh? What, you going to spank Russia? Hell, you and NATO counted them on the battlefield in Ukraine. So what you've already sanctioned Russia. What was it? 20,000 sanctions or something? And it's your economy that's in tatters, not Russia. You can't even keep up with Russia's armament or manufacturing capacity in the scope of military. Right? Russia is outproducing the entire Western world in military capabilities. So what are you going to do? Spit at them? Throw a piece of gum or a shoe at them? See, this is what I'm telling you. The mind of these people, that exceptional mind. You better do what I say or else. How dare you? Now, you can see these other people. Now, I want you to see the hypocrisy in this. You illegally, not legally, you illegally seized $300 billion from Russia. Illegally. And now you're trying to reappropriate to some of your companies so that you can whitewash it and put it in some of the coffers of the people who supported you to go into this war. And now you're telling Russia not to touch your nuclear technology that wasn't supposed to be in that nuclear plant from jump. The mindset of the West. I can and you can't. I am and there is none other. What I say goes, and you better do as I say, not as I do. That is the mind of the West. I'm telling you this. This is real. So I want you to listen to this closely, okay? Okay. It says, the U.S. has sensitive nuclear technology at a nuclear power plant inside Ukraine and is warning Russia not to touch it. According to a letter the U.S. Department of Energy sent to Russia's state-owned nuclear energy firm Rosatom or whatever last month. In the letter, which was reviewed by CNN and is dated March 17, 2023, the director of the Energy Department's Office of Non-Proliferation Policy, Andrea Furkow, tells Rosatom's Director General that the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant in Enerhodar, I cannot pronounce that. It's a Ukrainian place. Contains, listen to this, contains U.S. origin nuclear technical data that is export controlled by the United States government. Now, what could that data be? Could that be about how to use and extract certain fissile material in small quantities so that you can take them and put them in dirty bombs or reconstitute Ukraine's former nuclear capability so that Russia would not dare to attack Ukraine, and then Ukraine could then openly join NATO and be a vassal to the United States? Could that be it? Maybe. I'm just talking. But let's go further. Okay? Goods, software, and technology. Listen to this. Man, I'm telling you, bro. Sometimes the arrogance, the hubris, the exceptionalism, the racism, and the fascism jumped off the pages of these magazines, articles, and out of the mouths of those in power. Let's go further. Goods, software, and technology are subject to U.S. export controls when it is possible for them to be used in a way that undermines U.S. national security interests. Notice they always throw that in there, right? They don't care if it undermines Russia's national security interests being right on the border with Russia. They don't care about that. Nobody's interest matters but the United States and those of the West. Let's go further, because we get ready to unpack a few things in just a second. You're going to see what I'm saying, okay? Excuse me. It says, the Energy Department letter comes as Russian forces continue to control the plant. Now, I want you to listen to this part, okay? This is very important that you hear this. I want you to listen closely to this part here. All right. It says, the Energy Department letter comes as Russian forces continue to control the plant. Now, CNN is acknowledging that Russia and its forces control, and to continue means that they have had control of the plant, right? If you aren't running and you start, you're not continuing to run. For you to continue to run, you must have first started to run, right? So if you are to continue the control of the plant, that means that you have had control of the plant, right? Okay, so we've established that base. Now listen, which is the largest nuclear power station in Europe and sits in a part of Zaporozhye region that Russia occupies after its invasion of Ukraine last February. The plant has frequently been disconnected from Ukraine's power grid due to intense, listen to this, due to intense Russian shelling in the area, raising fears across Europe of a nuclear accident. Now let's go right back to the beginning of the article. Beginning of the paragraph right here. The Energy Department letter comes as Russian forces continue to control the plant. So that means that they've had control over the nuclear plant, right? And the surrounding areas. Now let's jump back down to what was just stated. The plant has frequently been disconnected from Ukraine's power grid due to intense shelling, Russian shelling in the area, raising fears across Europe of a nuclear accident. Now, one of y'all tell me, how does that make sense? If Russia has controlled that area, and Russian forces are in control of that area, and Russian forces continue to control that area, make sense to me that Russian forces are shelling the area that Russian forces control. Huh? So, me and my family control an acre of land. There's some hostile people down the street, but I am shelling the acre of land that me and my family own. Does that make sense to you? I'm asking. I told you there's a lot to unpack here. But that is the reporting of the West. They don't respect your intellect. They don't. There's no way somebody could write that statement like that and respect you. There's no way. But let's go further. Hey, I might have been born at night, but I was not born last night. It goes further and says, CNN has reached out to Rosatom for comment. And then it goes down and it says, now, this is the part I want to get to also, okay? All right. But I want to check in the live stream a little bit. Yeah, I see. I'm looking at what you're saying. You're right. They are bad liars, but they are liars nonetheless. Now, let's see. Let's go into this part right here because this is very important, okay? Y'all bear with me because this is very important that you guys hear this and you can put in CNN.com and then put a dash and put in U.S. warns Russia Zaporozhye or it's like that. You can put that in and you can pull this article up for yourself so that you can read and see that I'm not lying. And by the way, while we're in here, please hit the like button. Get the likes up. Please hit the like button. But let's go further. It says, it is unlawful. God dang it, I just got to stop for a minute. Y'all, please forgive me. I got the arrogance and the hubris. I'm telling you, it's just unreal. Listen to this statement. Listen to this paragraph, okay? Remember when I told you that America, when she doesn't care about your sovereignty, she doesn't care about your jurisdiction in your own country, she doesn't care about none of that. American law trumps everybody. It trumps international law, any regional law, any national law. But at the same time, we believe in sovereignty. And every nation has a right to determine their own future and path, right? They believe that as long as the person wanted to determine to be a part of America's entourage. I want you to listen to this real quick and real good. This is a quote. It is unlawful under United States law for non-authorized persons, including but not limited to Russian citizens and Russian entities, the letter says. Stop right there. Tell me what's wrong with that statement right there. They are telling Russia not to take the technology that wasn't supposed to be there, that belongs to the United States, and not to read the information on there because the information could blow open a wide array of things, and then people will see that America was trying to give Ukraine a nuclear weapon because America would essentially run that nuclear weapon with codes and stuff, and hold Russia and China hostage, right? But listen to this, because this means that America is actually telling Russia that Russian law don't matter to us. International law don't matter to us. Listen to what it says. Pay close attention to that again, okay? It is unlawful under United States law for non-authorized persons, including but not limited to Russian citizens and Russian entities, the letter says, such as Rosatom and its subsidiaries, to knowingly and willfully access, possess, control, export, store, seize, review, re-export, ship, transfer, copy, manipulate such technology or technical data, or direct or authorize others to do the same without such Russian entities becoming authorized recipients by the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Energy. What does that say? They're saying, don't tell on us. Get into this. Don't access this because it tells on us. It gives away some of our secrets. And we don't want you to know that. And according to U.S. law, if you do this, you violate U.S. law. Forget Russian law. Forget Russian national security. Forget international law. They stated U.S. law. And last time I looked at the map, I don't think Ukraine is in the United States, is it? I don't think Russia resides in the United States. As a matter of fact, Russia is nearly 3 times the size of the United States. So how could it reside in the United States? And if it is not a part of the United States and can't reside in the United States, and if Ukraine is not a part of the United States, then what the hell do we care about U.S. law? Huh? You see, exceptionalism. I am and there is no other. Forget what you think. Do what I say. Let's go further. I told you it was a lot to unpack in this article. And CNN unknowingly let the cat out the bag. And listen, it says, it is not clear whether Rosatom has responded to the letter. The Energy Department's National Security Administration, Nuclear Security Administration told CNN in a statement that the letter is authentic. The letters were first reported by the news outlet RBC Ukraine. The Department of Energy's National Security Nuclear Administration can confirm that the letter is legitimate, says Shayla Hassan, the Deputy Director of Public Affairs for the National Nuclear Security Administration. Now, let's see. I wanna get to something. Let me see if I can scroll to it real quick. All right, then. Now, I wanna put something on your brain for a minute. I want to inform you of something that you might not be aware of, but we've said it on my boy Reef is in the house. Reef Omar is in the house too. I got to give him a shout out too. Yes. I want you to understand. I'm gonna put something on your mind. Do you know that Russia is responsible for 20 to 30% of America's electricity? Do you know that? I'm telling you this. While we're talking about the nuclear energy, Russia provides America with low cost, highly efficient nuclear fuel for her plants. For 25% to 30% of all U.S. nuclear power plants, they are fed off of Russian nuclear energy. Do you know that? So America is threatening the very nation that is responsible for 25 to 30% of America's total energy output. Is that not insane or what? Huh? I'm asking you these things. See, somebody got to level with you. And you know, sometimes you get sick and you go to the doctor, right? And the doctor gives you a diagnosis that you just can't digest at the moment. And you say, nah, doc, I got to see another doc. And then you see the second doc and the doc tell you the same thing. But then you go see a third doc and the doc say, well, yeah, they told you right, but only this is worse than what you think. So now you have to contemplate, do I go down the path of treatment that the doctor explained to me that would restore my health? And so as you take the medicine, it's bitter to your mouth. It makes you dizzy, makes you lightheaded, and sometimes it makes you sleepy. But if you stay on the regimen that the doctor put you on, you return to health. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to return you to the proper way of thinking. We want that mental health back because they dumb you down on every level in the Western world. Okay? Old Reef. Yeah. Hey, Cece, I'm still insane in the membrane. You got that right. So, matter of fact, let me post that if they allow me, because I know they've been messing with my chats and stuff, and they've been erasing the chat on the shows and stuff. So here we go right here. Let's see if we can put this up. Will it? See, I highlighted it, but it's not up yet. Will it come up? I highlighted it. Man, I tell you what, they're tripping up here. All right, there we go. It's on my screen now. It was on your screen before it was on my screen. They're messing with me. But anyway, so and I'm looking at computer here, phone here, to try to monitor everything that's going on. And I have multiple screens up on all of the computers. But as a matter of fact, look, you can see it in my eyes. When I turn this way, you see the light here on my glasses, because these are light reflectors. See right here. I look forward. You see here. I look here. You see. You can see it through there. I have 3 computers up. But now let me go to something. Let me see if I can go back to something real quick. Hold on one second, everybody. And I'm gonna tell you why they're picking fights with everybody, okay? they're losing their position the world over. I'm going to replace, I don't know if I played it on one of the shows either yesterday or today, but I'm going to play this clip about Africa. And remember that Africa is the continent with the most abundant resources and minerals on the planet. It is. And Europe and the West have been siphoning these things out for years and charging exorbitant prices. As I said, they have the greatest con that man could ever have given. And they still continue to use this con, but now nations are hip to it, and they're moving outside of the dollar, euro, and British pound sphere of influence. Again, let me explain to those who may have not have heard me say this before. The con is this: Europe and America goes into Africa. Hey, we got a deal for you. You see those pretty rocks over there, and those pretty minerals and those precious ores. We have something over here that has pretty paint on it. It's this piece of paper. We'll give you X amount of this paper for that. And this will allow you to trade with us. And it will help you build up your infrastructure, and it will help you build up your society. Right? So now, check this out. The con man has conned the people who have the products there to exchange the products for this piece of paper with a face on it and a denomination on it. And then they dictated how much of the paper that they would give for that thing. They siphon that off. They sell it back to them 30 times what they paid for, right? So now you see that same nation in debt. Then they come back and offer them loans in that paper. And then when the people can't pay the loans, then they say, well, we need some collateral. So then they put a collateral on some of the precious area, the areas with the precious minerals and resources. And then they siphon off some. And then other nations that can pay back, when the nations get tired of it and say, listen, man, listen, we can't do this. You're going to have to give us this, this, and this. Then what happens is they sanction that nation, making their currency stock that they had worthless. Worthless. That's how they destroyed the Zimbabwean dollar. If you go, forget what the newscasts say. I'm telling you, go through history. There was in the early 80s, late 80s, early 90s, the Zimbabwean dollar was at parity with the US dollar. When Mugabe introduced a land reform act to right the wrongs of colonialism by Great Britain and Europe, because there was a population of 3% Europeans in Zimbabwe, but they owned 94% of all of the arable and precious land and farmland. They owned that. That's true, and it was a holdover from when Great Britain colonized Zimbabwe, which was known as Rhodesia. When Mugabe tried to correct the wrong, the U.S. slammed him and they vilified him for trying to give back the land to the people that it was stolen from. And they made it out to say Zimbabwe can't feed the people. Watch the farms go belly up. The farms started going belly up because you sanctioned them and they couldn't get the fertilizer. They couldn't get the components to keep the farms up. Because remember, I want to point something out to you. How is it that the very people who ran the farms and brought in huge crops could not do it when they owned the farm? It went from being tenants of the farm to owners of the farm. The West sanctioned them, and they destroyed the Zimbabwean dollar. But you know what? There's a biblical saying, as thou hast done, so shall it be done unto thee. And we're watching the destruction of the British pound and the US dollar in real time. We're watching it. So let's go further. I want you to see something, hear something about peace in Africa and how Africans are turning away from the West. Here it is right here. Pay close
As
attention.
we can see, Washington is trying to make its presence felt in this conflict to show that there was a time when all roads to peace went through Washington. But over the years, America's so-called rules meant that the United States put itself above all others. It now stands that Africa appears to have given up on the virtues of America's so-called honest peacemaking. And in the case of Sudan, it seems like the intention goes beyond what we know and what we are seeing. In 2021, the coup drew a sharp response from Sudan's Western backers, with the US, the EU, and the World Bank suspending billions of dollars worth of aid and debt forgiveness. The US administration at that particular time, however, kept talking with the coup leaders about restoration of what they call a credible civilian government.
The civilian-led transitional government should be immediately restored. It represents the will of the Sudanese people, as evidenced by the significant, peaceful demonstrations of support on October 21st.
Now, Americans have been told that if they do not dominate, the world will descend into chaos, when in reality, as mediation from different states have shown, other powers are likely to step up to shoulder the burden of security and peacemaking. Not so long ago, the word demands from an immediate end to all fighting in Sudan, and that was to ensure that delayed elections are held peacefully and freely. But the Sudanese leader promised to hold those elections.
We affirm the complete withdrawal of the military from the political process. This step should be accompanied by the withdrawal of political forces from the transitional period as a response to the revolutionaries' demands.
What we do know so far is that many wars that the US has waged and participated in have not only left the countries in positions of failed states, but have also caused increased regional instability. Many say that the US has left countless trails of bloods and turmoil around the world, all in the name of democracy. Many have also said that the West is guilty of crimes which recently it has accused states like Russia of committing. And when it comes to Russia, not only has the West gone too far, but it's also led to warnings that prevent Russia from establishing a naval base off its Red Sea coast, saying that it would harm the country's interests.
All countries have a sovereign right to decide which other countries to partner with. But these choices have consequences, of course.
West most of the time trying to go there just for tourism and just to get the wealth of them without giving them any reward or anything as against or a compensation for that. They demolished the ecology and the climate and the natural resources in Africa, but they didn't give anything to them.
Now, the biggest source of concern for the US administration, and possibly the reason it was first to call a ceasefire, is Sudan's part in China's initiatives. China's role is improved by many other African countries which see China as an alternative to the US or pursue a hedging strategy between the two to maximize their own interest. This now allows China to carve out a sphere in the region and challenge the US influence. Nolu Vuyokunge, RT, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Well, you see, everybody's trying to move outside dollar domination. I wanted to do the show for roughly about 2 or 3 hours, but then I realized I just looked to the side and it's almost time for me to pick up my daughter from work, drop her back off, and then go up to my wife's job and check in on her. So we're gonna leave it here, but check this out. Check this out. We're gonna try to do this again sometime tomorrow. I'm gonna try to do the 11:40 in the morning show. If there's no live at 11:40 in the morning, I'll try to do it in the evening. I'm pressed for tomorrow with time because I have some other commitments that I have made, but I'm gonna try my best to do it. If I don't do it, don't think hard of me. Charge it to my head and not to my heart. we'll pick up the pieces and do and continue this on the following day. Okay. But on that note, I want to thank each and every one of y'all who come here who give me your ear. I want to thank you who wish to donate. The donation thing is down there at the Cash App $Truth in Power, and also at the PayPal and at the Buy Me a Coffee thing. Somebody asked me to put it up there, so I put it up there. I want to thank Reef for donating. Also, I got to give him a shout out right now, live on air, because he did donate. I thank each and every one of y'all. If you don't donate anything but your time, I thank each and every one of y'all. I love y'all because it seems to me that y'all love truth. But remember that God will love y'all best. Until we next speak again, stay strong, stay true, but above all things, stay righteous. And I want to share with you again, for those of you who may have not seen it, my new intro, even though we're going out, that my son put together. So y'all stay tuned. I love each and every one of y'all. Mama, I got you. Your baby boy loves you more than life. Deuces, everybody. Please check this out. And this has been our first episode of the Vampire Stream. Thank you all. This is your host, Rashid Muhammad of the Red Pill Diaries. We sign off.